Well, the world's media has been captivated by the link between Cecil John Rhodes, the Rhodes Must Fall campaign, and reports recently that the Rand Club finally has fallen. The Rand Club, which opened its doors in 1887, situated in downtown Johannesburg at Loveday Street, is a grand old dame of old Johannesburg. The reports suggest, though, that it has finally died a death. David Williams is the chairman of the Rand Club. Are rumours of the death of the Rand Club vastly exaggerated, David Williams?
Yes, Bruce, as Mark Twain said of the reports of his own death, greatly exaggerated. What we have done is we've closed our food and beverage operation, suspended it at the end of September, and we're hoping to reopen the club again on the same premises, in the same building, without any change to the heritage aspects. In about 6 to 9 months' time. We're expecting to get a new food and beverage partner, a hotel group or something similar, which will really bring investment and much needed investment in the marketing side and in the building itself. So we have closed temporarily. We are certainly not closed down.
Now, again, the speculation has been, or the reports have been, and I'm going through the reports, I haven't seen a single quote from yourself saying it is the end of the Rand Club, this is an end of an era, and it's all terribly sad. Quoting the general manager of the club saying, we're closing, we may open at some point at a new location. Now, you can't blame the media for, sort of quoting the quotes. Where is this misinformation coming from? You're talking about going and staying in the same location. Your general manager seems to think you're moving.
Well, the first point is, it's interesting, you and I both in the media, we know how these things happen, but the general manager was not in fact quoted. It was someone else, an employee at the club who somehow became the general manager. So they didn't check their facts behind that story. But there have been, so to be fair, there have been different narratives, if you like, about the future of the club. As much as 15 years ago, as long ago as that, there were people who said the club should move to the north of Johannesburg, to Sandton, to Bryanston and so on, to reflect the shift of business from the city centre to Bryanston, although there is still a lot of business in the old city. And that was killed, that initiative. And I think the feeling, although there's still some people who think we should move, the majority feeling is that a club like that, which goes back to 1 year after Johannesburg was founded, you either keep it going where it is because it's part of the city's heritage, or you close it. We certainly don't want to close it. And I believe, as do many other people, that the city has turned the corner. I'd say it was probably at its worst in terms of crime and grime and no one wanting to go there a decade ago. There are a whole lot of new young entrepreneurial companies and individuals that are making a go of the inner city. And I think you have to take a long view. We've had tough times in South Africa before, and the city has had tough times. And we may have tough times again, but we're taking a long view here. So, yes, I don't know where the quote came from of it being somewhere else. I think there was another quote which said that the club will reopen, but it won't be the same place. Now, if you take that sentence, it won't be the same place, it's saying it will be in the same place, but it won't seem like the same place. So there's no question about it. And I think that's where the misunderstanding came. So we're not spinning this, we're not moving.
Okay, so David, now give me a sense of it, please, in terms of clubs, because clubs, there's Country Club Johannesburg has been struggling, Ananda Club has really been reinvigorated and has been recrafted absolutely beautifully on the original site after they sold off half their land to Investec about 5 or 6 years ago. How many paid up members do you have of the Rand Club today?
Well, the total membership is about 1,200, but that includes what we call absentee members who live in other countries and don't pay the normal subs. So if you're looking at the normal subscription rate, the core subscription rate, it's probably 500 people who pay that. And then there are other grades, so members' spouses can be members, their children can be members at special rates. But the point about the income, and you mentioned those other clubs, the Country Club Johannesburg and the Ananda Club, they have done well, and in both cases they've had land available that they could sell. So in the case of the Country Club, they had the Woodmead golf course land, which wasn't all taken up by golf course. They were able to sell some of that. Inanda, as you say, sold prime land in the middle of Sandton, really, between Sandton and Rosebank. They were able to make some money out of a deal with Investec there. So these clubs are not sustainable by member subscriptions alone. You have to get, you need the subscriptions, But you need to get functions, outside functions. That's what Ananda's done a great deal of now. The Wanderers Club is another one that depends on outside functions as well as its own members. So the business model has to be beyond the members themselves.
These 500 members, I can't imagine what do they pay to be members of the club? 10,000 Rand a year? 2,000 Rand a year?
10,000 a year approximately at the moment, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't pay for the rates and taxes, does it?
No. So, as I say, you've got to have income from other sources. We, for a long time, have had weddings, for example. The Rand Club in town, very popular venue for weddings. It's grand, it's Edwardian, it's a very distinguished background, and young brides and bridegrooms love having their pictures taken on the great staircase. And it's unique in South Africa, I think, from that point of view. So, weddings are popular. Conferences, big company conferences. We've got lots of rooms for breakaways and things like that. So we've done this before, but I think we realized that we weren't doing enough of it, and we needed a capital injection to refurbish the building, and we needed some really professional marketing to sell these facilities to the functions and the weddings, while retaining an exclusive membership. You still don't want individuals coming in off the street to the club. You want the members still to have exclusive access in some parts of the club.
Certainly tough times ahead. You're closed, you say, for the next 6 to 9 months. You need a capital injection. Where is that capital injection going to come from? Is there a corporate sponsor in the wings that we don't know about?
No, I don't think any corporate sponsor is available for this kind of investment these days, or in the old days perhaps where there was less accountability to shareholders. You might have an individual in a corporate who would say, yes, let's give money to the club. I don't think that's possible or desirable now, really. We're looking more at a business partnership with a couple of potential partners where we want them to come in and invest. In return, they take the risk, and they would in turn take the profit from that. And we've had expressions of interest, and I can't say who we're talking to, but should be able to reveal that, and I hope be able to announce a package deal, an arrangement that will sustain us going forward.
How far down the track are you? I use the term down the track because we've recently seen a deal done between the Blue Train and Sun International, for example. Sun International to run the Blue Train and to do it maybe differently, put a casino in on the Blue Train. Would you do that sort of tie-up and actually restore a level of grandeur, bring, I don't know, an element of the old Carlton Hotel perhaps back into the city centre? Is there a market? Is there appetite?
I think there is. And we've shown that when we do have functions on a grand scale, people do come. So the issue is not whether they would come, it's that we haven't had enough of them and not enough people have come. I mean, we predate the old Carlton Hotel as well as the new Carlton Hotel, of course. So we have that unique Edwardian atmosphere which people love. There are issues with parking, and there are lots of potential solutions that we're trying to hit with parking. You know, adjoining buildings have parking space, so there are lots of possible ways of solving that. I think there's actually a great opportunity. I don't think people have realized the potential yet of the Gautrain. I don't think people generally have realized how much the Gautrain is going to change our lives. And I think in the future, as people get used to it, it'll be very easy to travel from Sandton to Park Station, which I do regularly. It takes you 12 minutes. And it's the club is 10 minutes from Park Station. So I think as with our eco-mobility days in Sandton at the moment, as people get used to using public transport again, I think the club will certainly benefit.
Now, look, I mean, everybody, I think, would like to see the club survive and thrive as well. It is a great piece of, it's a particular era of South African history. It's a museum piece in its own right, but it just does need reinvigoration, and tragically, the environment around it is what needs to be sustainable to make it sustainable as well. How far down the track, then, are you in discussions with one or more partners?
Well, as I say, we hope to open again in 6 to 9 months, which means if we're going to do that, we would like to seal a deal in the next couple of months. And that's where we are at the moment. That's what we're hoping to do. If you're talking about...
Are you in actual discussions?
Oh, yes, we've been in talks with potential partners for some time.
Okay, so those discussions with potential partners, so there are multiple partners in the discussion. Are they competing partners?
No, we've got one major person or corporate that we're dealing with. As I say, I can't talk more about that now, but it's not because of anything except that there are negotiations in way, and wouldn't be in good faith to talk about who it's with. But just to talk, Bruce, about the environment there, you say the environment is important, and that, of course, is crucial. You can't be an island of luxury or opulence or a good business, if you like, a good operation. You can't do that if what is happening around you is not working. And I think it's a mixed story in the city. 10 years ago, I think it was a tale of crime and decay. But now there are areas where certainly there's renovation. There are some very interesting entrepreneurs who are buying up buildings and redeveloping them. And I think the mistake is to think of the city as it was in the 1980s and think that somehow we're all trying to go back to that. In fact, I don't think anyone wants to go back to that. You've got a whole new generation of entrepreneurs and new companies like the Maboneng precinct, for example, where they are actually regenerating whole pockets of the city. And I think when these pockets start linking with each other, we're suddenly going to realize that the city has not gone back to what it was before, but has now a different proposition, but can thrive again.
So is this the end of the elite nature of the Rand Club, the roads connection, the fact that this is a place where gentlemen with tight waistcoats and fob watches would smoke cigars and drink port late into the night? This could be, I don't know, a funky version of its old self.
Well, speak for yourself, Bruce, if that's your kind of taste.
No, I'm going back to the image of a club.
Yes,
a
you're
long
quite
time
right.
ago.
Look, there's still that, and I think if you go to the great English clubs on which the Rand Club is modelled, yeah, they still. And I think the trick is to adapt. So you keep what is good, what is fun. You've got to have your tongue in your cheek a bit with a place like that. You know, it is a colonial relic in some ways. On the other hand, it had to adapt. It has to adapt, like all great institutions in society, to change. And I think you've got to keep the good parts. You've got to keep it exclusive to some extent. Really what it is, it started and really substantially still is. It's a business networking club. It's a certain sort of person who would like to meet his friends at the club. There is an exclusive element, but it's not kind of shut you out exclusive. Women are allowed, have been for the last 30 years. But, you know, in those days it reflected the society it was in the 40s and 50s. We like to think it now begins to reflect a very different society that we're in now. We want to keep up with that society without losing the best of the past.
David Williams, I really wish you luck with it because it is a magnificent structure. It's got a magnificent history as well. It's got a dark side of the history too, but it is a history around which the city of Johannesburg was built, and it's an integral part of that history, and I hope it certainly remains part of the city's future as well. Chairman of the Rand Club, David Williams. You may recognize his face from other shows on this channel as well. He's a busy guy, as David Williams. I wish you luck with the next 6 to 9 months in getting the Rand Club back on its feet in a new guise. That's it from the MoneyMakers this evening. Thank you for watching. Good night.